Hey, good morning, everybody. You are looking live at the headquarters of the Common Real Estate Group here in Wake Forest, North Carolina. We are actually really excited about some rain today. Why? Because it keeps me out of doing some yard chores later on today that are overdue. And yes, with the warm weather we've had recently, there's yard chores already. Well, good morning to you. I raise my comic cup to you this morning. I hope everybody's doing well. And no matter when you watch this, whether you're one of the people who get this via email or you get this, live and you're here today with me, I always raise my comic up to you, and I'm grateful that you're here with us. And thank you for all the kind comments and compliments and what have you. So thank you. That being said, let's go ahead and get started. What is today? Today is the National Day. What is the National Day of? It's the National Day of No One Eats Alone. No one eats alone today, right? So it used to be a badge of courage, I guess you could say. You know, you always could pick out the kids that had a lot of self-confidence when you were in college, because kids that eat alone in college, they just have a lot of confidence, or maybe they don't have any friends. Looking at you, Scotty Green, looking at you, brother. Anyway, but today's the National Day of Don't Eat Alone. It's also the National Day of Random Acts of Kindness. Now, my son Cole and I got off on a really rough start this morning, so I have to reprogram my mind to get into the kindness mindset today. I'll see him. He and I've got an appointment this afternoon together, and I don't know that he's looking forward to it based on how our day started. But random acts of kindness is my reminder that I need to do something for him and for others that is unexpected. So stay tuned. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll report back to you next week. And then it's also the National Day of Cabbage. Like, who the hell has a National Day of Cabbage? That's crazy. That being said, I hate cabbage in most cases, right? Like cabbage and potatoes and all that. Like, just don't like it. But I'll tell you how I love cabbage. I love them in galumpkies, right? Some of you refer to them as many different things. As you know, you've seen me make them on here before. They're little cabbage rolls, right? With hamburger and onions and rice and tomato sauce and different things. We call them galumpkies where we come from. I know my wife in her part of the country, they call them halupkis. But the galumpkies are delicious, just delicious. Anyhow, so super excited about it being National Day of Cabbage. I don't think I'll take on the task of making galumpkies, but I will enjoy the National Day of Cabbage with you. And then finally, later this week on Thursday, almost a week from now, is the National Day of Toast. And it got me to thinking, who eats toast? Toast is like, who wants hard? When bread comes out and it's fresh and it's soft and it's chewy and all that stuff like it's supposed to be, and then somebody takes it, puts it in this machine that like makes it hard and crusty and stale. Like, it's disgusting. Maybe lightly warmed up bread, but not toast. I just never been a toast guy. Are you a toast person? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't get it. It's hard and crusty, and sometimes you burn it, and Anyhow, not a toast guy. I do love warm bread. So Super Bowl recap. What did you think of the Super Bowl? Did your team win? Mine did not. Of course, I didn't have a team. I didn't care for either one of the teams, but the team that I was pulling against the most ended up winning the Super Bowl, and that's okay. Weirdo, thanks, hon. But that's okay, quite frankly, because now we move on to the draft. Like, it's already now the new football season as far as I'm concerned. Like, that's over. Let's forget about it. Let's move on. But what were the winners and losers of the Super Bowl? Man, there's a lot of talk about the performers, and I'm not talking about the guys wearing helmets. I'm talking about the ones with guitars and microphones, right? When you look at the pregame, right, and for the national anthem, word was that most people kind of liked the national anthem. I thought it was well done. It didn't blow me away like it did some people. I thought it was good. I thought it was a great rendition, better than some that I've heard. It does not come close to what's her name from back in like 96, 94, whatever year that was. Somebody tell me her name. Who sang the national anthem and sang it the best ever? It didn't compare to that, but I thought this was good. But the halftime show was much more controversial, right? And here's what I think the take has been. There's a lot of people that liked it. That are just calling anybody who didn't. Yeah, Whitney Houston, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. A lot of people that liked the halftime show that don't like the people that didn't like it. So if you said that you didn't like it for whatever reason, you're immediately called a boomer and an old person, whatever, right? But quite frankly, it isn't about not liking the performers. I thought Rihanna, I mean, she's obviously uber talented, but I don't think she did a great job. Now, what she did was amazing because she was pregnant. Everybody understands that. Please don't attack me with hate mail. What she was able to accomplish while being pregnant is amazing. And no, I couldn't do it, right? I mean, yeah, that's the question. Well, what would you do? Who cares what I would do? The fact is, she's paid a lot of money to put on a huge halftime show. It just wasn't that entertaining, even though the music was good. It just wasn't that entertaining. Yeah, Whitney, that's right. Thank you. Well, you don't think I can remember her first name, Jen, after Adam gives me the last name? Jeez. Morning, Lump. Good morning to you, brother. Anyhow, how was your food at the Super Bowl this year, right? We did a little shrimp cocktail. And by the way, if anybody ever wants the secret to make crunchy shrimp cocktail at home the right way, John Kima passed on to me a real secret to it, and it makes all the difference. You'll never eat shrimp cocktail anywhere again. Well, maybe St. Elmo's in Indianapolis, but beyond that, you won't eat shrimp cocktail anywhere again once you make it like this. And so, if you're interested, DM me. I'll hook you up with the secret recipe. Best part about the Super Bowl being over? Pitchers and catchers report. And even for a diehard Oakland A's fan like myself, they stand no chance. And I couldn't tell you 3 people on the roster this year based on it looks like a mid-level AA, AAA ball club. I'm still super excited. The beginning of baseball season it holds something, right? That opening day, there's just something special because you're getting ready to settle in for a long summer. Every day, the game on TV, right? Having grown up in an area where the Red Sox were, every day the Red Sox were on TV. And while I consider them one of the 2 evil empires of baseball, it was nice just to have baseball there every day. You walk into the barbershop, they want to know who's pitching tomorrow, right? Is it Bruce Hurst? Is it Roger Clemens, right? Oh, those kinds of things. Those great conversations that just happen, right? You walk into your grandparents' house and you're having dinner, but the ball game's on in the background. Having grown up in a city where Major League Baseball is really important, I still get that little something inside me when pitchers and catchers report. And so we're there. That being said, Julie Bateman posted yesterday that it was so beautiful out and everybody's ready for this weather. And I said, no, we need some snow. And Lump, I'm sorry. I know you guys have had your fair share. We haven't had our fair share. We've had 0. Addie was telling me this morning that one of our clients that lives in Tennessee, now in the mountains of Tennessee, 73 degrees yesterday, expecting a foot of snow tomorrow. That's what we need. Maybe we're moving to the mountains of Tennessee. We'll see. Get myself a banjo and let's roll with it. So I got a story to tell you. But first I got to ask you, do you personally, or do you know somebody that has committed a crime or commits crimes that just shocks you? Like it's out of their personality type to do those kinds of things. I'll give you an example. I know somebody pretty well that this person used to steal from stores. This person didn't need to steal from stores. Person had more than everything they wanted. But still stole from stores. And I can't put those 2 things together. Like it just doesn't make sense. But we were having some really good conversations recently about just some fun as kids. And so I'm going to tell a story. Ground is green and flowers are, oh, nice. All right, Lump. Hey, baseball season starts early for the Senators this year. But I'm going to tell you a story about growing up with 2 guys that I tagged in this post, Scott Green and Jason Adams. And yes, I think the statute of limitations has now passed. So I feel comfortable in sharing this. But I will tell you that one of my favorite stories of all time, Scotty Green and I had an apartment down in Leicester, Massachusetts. We were sophomores in college, and we had a little apartment, and we needed a Christmas tree. But, we were on a low budget. It was like 1990. There was no money for us. We had enough money for beer, but we had no money for anything else. So we weren't going to buy a Christmas tree. So we're like, well, we need a Christmas tree. So we knew somebody with a pickup truck, Jason Adams. That's how he comes into play here. So we showed up at his house one night. It had to be 10:30 at night. Hey, Mrs. Adams. Hey, Mr. Adams. Is Jason home? Go grab Jay and tell him our little story and our little plan. And he's all in, immediately all in. So we all grab ski masks or winter hats, and we head out in the back of his pickup truck. So Jason's driving, Scotty and I, it's a little tiny pickup truck. Scotty and I are driving in the back of the truck, and it's wintertime in New England. It is frostbite cold outside. And we're running around a place called Packard Heights. And there was a great house at Packard Heights that had beautiful pine trees, blue spruce, you name it. I mean, just gorgeous pine trees. Not the one that grew all the pine trees. This is just a house that had them in his yard. And we identified that was the place that we were going to hit up. So like little Mission Impossible guys, we dive out of the truck. Jason slows down, turns off the lights. We dive out of the truck. I've got a hatchet that was probably as dull as a butter knife. And Scotty's got like a little hacksaw that, if you ever saw Scott Green's arms, he was never going to saw down a tree with those arms. they're about the same size as his legs, quite frankly. Anyhow, so we dive up onto this hill, and we're laying there on the ground. It's quiet. Jason's gone. And we have only a limited amount of time because Jason's going to make one run around Packard Heights, which is a lake. And so we're laying there, and I said, Scott, what about this one? And we're whispering. He's like, no, that one's not got, it's too top heavy here. It's got a hole here. I'm like, what about this one, And I'm anxious. And he said, no. And I'm like, well, what about this one? Like, he wanted to pick the perfect Christmas tree as though he was my wife and we were picking the first tree for our brand new home. I'm thinking, dude, we're going to put some beer bottles on this thing and go celebrate. Let's pick a tree. And so he's like, what about, I said, so what about this one? And finally he's like, no. So I just start hacking at a tree, a random tree. And so he comes over and he's sawing on it, right? And I was like, let's use the saw that's quieter. So he starts sawing on it. And again, his arm's about the size of a pencil. And still are, by the way. And I'm like watching this. And it's going to take us an hour for him to get through this thing. So I just pushed him out of the way. And I took that hatchet, and about 5 swings, that tree fell down. We dove under the tree. We heard Jason give the little signal of his lights, or saw the signal of his lights coming around the corner. We threw that tree in the back of the pickup truck, dove on top of it, and off we went. And so, while I'm not proud to tell you, and I would be pissed if somebody came to my house and cut a tree off my yard, I look back at times like that and I think, man, I'm so lucky to have grown up in a town like Orange, Massachusetts. If the police do call us, I just want everybody to know it was Scott's idea from the beginning, and Jason was the driver. I just kind of helped. So I accompanied, or whatever they call it, accessory. So I watched a documentary last night about the history of video games. And if you know me, I know nothing about video games. But it got me to thinking about 2 things. I remember sitting in the gym when I was in high school, getting ready to go to an away basketball game, waiting for the bus to get there. And all of us were sitting around talking about how Mike Tyson Boxing, the video game Mike Tyson Boxing on Nintendo, they could never create a video game with better graphics. This was the top of the top. Like, how can you make it better than this? And I look back on the pixelated little Mike Tyson that was in there, and I laughed so hard. But that, to us, that was so cutting edge. This is before Madden, right? It was so cutting edge. But if you had one video game that you could play forever, which one would it be? Tell me even if you don't play video games, do you remember one? My wife, I'm going to give her a little bit of credit here. Jennifer actually is the only award-winning video game player in our family. When she was, 9 or 10, she won a badge or something from playing River Raid, mailed away her little score and what have you. They sent her a little badge, and I know she would hate on me for sharing that information, but anyhow, she's the only award-winning video game player I know, and I remind my kids of that all the time, by the way. But my favorite, Tecmo Bowl. For those of you that remember Tecmo Bowl, RBI Baseball was supposed to put Tecmo Bowl, oh my goodness, and having Bo Jackson on there, it was just like real life. It couldn't be stopped. It was freaking fantastic. Anyhow, listen, one other thing I want to share with you is a week ago, I had the very distinct honor of going to see a kid that I used to coach in a couple of sports. His name's Jackson Colgan. He invited me to come to his signing day. He's getting ready to go play a little college basketball, and he invited me to a signing day. And I remember the drive to his school last week and just how proud I was, right? Just not proud of me, but just proud of the relationships that I have with some of these kids in our community. At the time when you're yelling at them or you're holding them accountable and what have you, you wonder if they'll ever speak to you again. But when kids like that reach back out to you, whether it be Cole Strand or Jackson Colgan, whatever those kids are, Owen McDonald's asked me to stand up for them in a variety of ways and write letters. And just these kids just mean so much to them. I'm so grateful for them. So this is my final tribute to Jackson Colgan. This guy right here, follow him. He's going to make big things happen in life right here. So Jackson, I'm proud of you, brother. Let's talk about the market. All right. In the title of today's post, I already talked about this already, but in the title of today's post, the pending inventory in the market, the entire market, is up 36% from the beginning of the year. 36%, meaning we have 36% more houses under contract than we had when the year started. But our active inventory has shrunk again, right? Meaning we have less to choose from. What happens when supply goes down and interest goes up? Eventually prices are going to go up no matter what the interest rates are, right? At some point, that's a tipping point. All these factors matter into what the market's doing. We are seeing a race to inventory happening right now, meaning people are now all of a sudden calling us saying, Peter, we want to get our house on the market. Peter, we want to get our house on the market again. And that's an exciting time. We still have to be right, though. When we put your house on the market, it has to look right. The market continues to shift every week or 2 weeks. We're looking at that market regularly. If we meet with you today and you don't list for 45 days, that market's going to be different, right? So keep that in mind. But 36%. So let's talk about the rest of the area. Wake County as a whole is at 35%. Wake Forest is at 36%, very representative of the overall market. Raleigh, if you want to be in Raleigh proper, though, if you want to be in Raleigh, it's up 41% since the beginning of the year. 41%. Guys, that's huge numbers coming out of the quarter we just had. Months of inventory. Right now, we've got 1.5 months of inventory. On this day in 2022, we had 0.53 months of inventory, right? Just a year ago. On this day 3 years ago in 2020, we had almost 2 months worth of inventory. We're in a hotter market than we were then, and you know, like I know, the whole world thought we were in a really white hot real estate market then. So, anyway, interesting numbers. I want to talk about a saying that you hear all the time. This is going to my friends out there that are renters, right? You hear real estate agents post these like fancy things, date the rate, right? All these kinds of things, and they're cute. There's no doubt they're cute. But one of the ones you hear all the time is the one about interest rates. That the interest on renting is 100%, right? You're not paying 5%, not paying 6%, not paying 7%. You're paying 100% because you're paying somebody else's mortgage, right? And I get it. What we're trying to do is we're trying to educate people and say, hey, listen, you know, if you're paying somebody's rent, then if you're paying rent, then that's a challenge because you really are paying 100% interest, right? You don't think people know this? They know this, right? This is not an issue of whether or not they should be paying, whether or not they need to know that that paying rent is not as good as buying a house, right? In most cases, not painting with a broad brush. Maybe we need to change the narrative a little bit. Maybe the narrative needs to be, hey, let us help you find some special financing, right? Affordability is really what we're talking about here, right? It's not about the education piece, it's about affordability. Maybe we can help you find some down payment assistance, or maybe we can find you some off-market properties. Maybe we can help you find a rate buy down, right? There's other ways to get into a house that maybe people just don't know about. And I'm not saying this works for everybody, but instead of telling people, hey, 100% of the 100% of your payment's interest because you're not buying, they know this. We as brokers need to do a better job of making sure that we're an asset to a potential buyer, right? So just something to think about there. And then really when you stop and think about the fact that renting is not necessarily a bad thing, because if you look at an amortization table, right? The first 5, sometimes 10 years, depending on your loan, almost everything you're paying is interest, right? So if you don't plan on being there or in this area or that area for that amount of time, then maybe, just maybe, renting makes more sense, right? So don't beat yourself up. If you're out there renting right now and you want to talk about options, our team can certainly walk you through that. Contact us or contact your local expert, somebody that you trust. But don't let them just beat you up about renting, because it's not A, it's nothing to be ashamed of. B, it's certainly not an education, or it's not it's not an education issue. You already know that buying a home is better for you long term, right? Again, painting with a broad brush. But let us help you find a way to get that done. Anyhow, that's all I've got for you this week. I hope you guys have a great week. Again, I raise my Kaima cup to you. It's good to see everybody. Oh, one last thing. I'm going to leave you with these words right here. Sunday, North Carolina travels to the evil empire known as North Carolina State University, right? Yes, that's the team that used to wear unitards back in the 80s and play on a rubber basketball court and has some bass fishing national championships, but none in basketball since 1983. I just why I'm throwing that out there because I expect hate mail from that, right? But here's what I will leave you with, right? Just 3 words, and that's it. Go Heels.